grave dislocations in the national economy, which could hurt the nation and the people in the long run. And in England, virtually everybody accepts the science behind global warming, as they do in virtually every other country in the world, including Canada. Our country is the only country where there's still large groups of people, some polls say 50%, who still express doubts about global warming. And the reason for that is because we've had $200 million in propaganda that have deluged our community over the past 15 years, mainly paid for by Exxon Corporation, by Chevron, by the Ford Motor Company, and by Massey Coal, and a number of other companies, but those are the major contributors. And they have used, they have big contributions to their indentured service in the political process. People like James Imhoff, who ran until recently the Environmental Committee, and who had hearings in which he declared that global warming was the biggest hoax in the history in human history after evolution. It's like the Flat Earth Society. He thinks that the Grand Canyon was built 6,000 years ago, and that the dinosaur bones were put here by Satan to confuse us. And then, all these PR firms like First and Marcella and Hill and Knowlton, these phony think tanks that they funded on Capitol Hill, the Heritage Foundation, the American Enterprise Institute, the Competitive Enterprise Institute, the Cato Institute, which are funded by, mainly by pollution dollars, and they house them, these phony scientists, these tobacco scientists, we call them biostitutes, like Elizabeth Whalen and Fred Singer, who say, basically anything in industry asks them to say that whales enjoy being harpooned, that seatbelts are bad for you, that, the airbags are an economic catastrophe, etc., that there's no such thing as global warming, or that we need more science, whatever. So, the National Academy of Sciences did a study on every peer-reviewed publication. These scientists, incidentally, don't publish peer-reviewed journals. They publish these slick, PR proclamations that can be fit in a journalist briefcase and read in 5 minutes between National Airport and the U.S. Capitol. And it's much easier to read that than it is real science, which comes out of the university and is hard work and is, difficult to read. And for a journalist, he can look at that and then he'll look at the real science and say, well, there's still a debate. So that's what I'm going to report. And, the National Academy of Sciences did an inventory of every peer-reviewed publication done about global warming between 1996 and 2006. There were over 10,000 of them. Everyone agreed on the basic points. Global warming exists. We're experiencing it now. Human beings are causing it. Its impact is going to be catastrophic. There were disagreements about how fast it's happening, what the different causes, but all of them agreed on that. At the same time, 60% of newspaper articles and reports on electronic media in our country expressed a doubt about global warming. So how does that happen? It happened because propaganda works. It really works. And that's why, it's different in this country. But in England, everybody believes, this was a digression, I don't know how I got off it. In England, virtually everybody accepts the science. But again, there are people who say, we can't move too quickly because it will damage our economy. And Lord Putnam was addressing the concerns of those people. And he reminded Parliament that exactly 200 years before, the same body had debated the abolition of the slave trade. And at that time, everybody in England, again, believed that slavery was an abomination, that it was a moral catastrophe for Great Britain, that it had to be abolished. But there were still people who said, how fast? We can't abolish it overnight because slavery represented, at that time, 25% of the GNP of Great Britain. It was the principal source of energy for the entire British Empire, free human labor. And they said, if we abolish it overnight,